Hi, and welcome to the Connors Clinic podcast. This is Michelle Hamburger, and I am here with Jim Crawmer, who is the founder of EMF Inspecting, along with his wife, LaRae. And EMF Inspecting is based out of the St. Paul, Minneapolis area in Minnesota, and they provide testing and consulting both locally and on a national scale. So at a distance to people who are wanting to do work on remediating EMFs in their home and businesses. Thank you so much for being with me today, Jim.
Oh, thank you, Michelle, and I really appreciate you asking us and inviting us, and it's an honor and a privilege, and appreciate what you do, and so I'm excited to be here.
So I wanted Jim to be on our podcast because we have been hearing more and more information about 5G, which is already rolling out and plans to be in full swing. I believe it's 2020. Am I correct?
Yeah, and in fact, it's already springing out. The Verizon chose two cities to start, and they were Chicago and Minneapolis. And so during the Final Four, this last time, that's when they started 5G in Minneapolis, downtown Minneapolis.
So weren't we lucky? We were the first. Yeah, we were the first trial. Okay, it is here.
Yeah,
well, with all of that, there's a lot of questions out there of really what are EMFs and are they safe for us? Are they dangerous for us? So I want to start today with just the basics. So the first question that I think a lot of people actually ask, we like to believe that we're more educated on this topic than I think we are, is what are EMFs?
Yeah, and that's an important question. And really, this is new, I mean, they've been around, but it's just exponentially increased with, for example, in 1996, there was only 16% of people who had cell phones. And the cell phones were big. They were like a walkie-talkie. And so it wasn't real convenient and it wasn't smart, And so, but people had those. And then in, let's see, about 10 years ago, there was 110 subscriptions to mobile phone carriers. Now in the United States, there's 300 million. So it's 110 million, and now in 10 years, it's 300. Basically, everybody has a cell phone or more than one, pretty much. And so because of this increase, EMFs are very important now. But people wonder what they are, or they've never heard of it. And I'll even ask people in the medical profession or a naturopathic or whatever, and some of them don't even know. And so, but basically, EMF stands for electromagnetic fields. And so a field is an area, and it's an area of energy, and it radiates from electrical things. But another name for EMFs, which I think is important, is EMR, and the R stands for radiation. And radiation, as we know, is dangerous. And so when I go to the dentist or whatever, they put this lead thing over me and just radiate my brain. But they're taking precautions because they know this is dangerous. And so that's why it's so important now. So yeah, basically EMFs, fields of radiation coming from all sorts of electrical things that are all around us all the time.
Are there natural sources of EMFs that are around us?
Yes, there are. Sunlight, and there's a magnetic field from the Earth's core. But these things our bodies are adjusted to it over the course of human beings, and we're in tune with those. But the radiation levels now coming from the different things that are going on now are millions and millions of times stronger and higher and different. So our body's going like, what in the world is happening? What are these influences that are hitting me? So yeah.
So what would you call the difference between a natural EMF, and would you call them unnatural EMFs or synthetic
Man-made.
EMFs, a man-made EMF?
Man-made, yeah.
Okay. So since man-made EMFs are millions of times stronger than nature's sources of EMR, I guess you would probably say,
Yeah.
what makes man-made EMFs or EMR dangerous to not just humans, but also animals and plant life?
Yeah, and that's a good question too. So what we do for EMF inspecting is we're scientific. So we're not, and so there are people who get the different meters and so forth, and they're looking for ghosts or whatever. And but what we do is scientific. So we base what we do on levels, and not let's say national levels or anything like that, but upon building biology and safe levels that scientists from around the world have discovered, and they're researching. And so we base our scientific, and our meters are very accurate. And so we can tell what is the real levels of radiation coming off of these things and hitting the people. And then we can say, okay, these are safe levels. So it's very scientific. But the reason it's harmful, and this is what people need to understand, is because our bodies are electric. Our bodies are electric. And when a person has heart trouble, a lot of times they'll give them a pacemaker, which is electric. Our brain waves are electric. Even the little chemical processes taking place in our bodies are electric. So therefore, electricity affects us. It affects us and can actually mess up it's so amazing, right? Our bodies are so amazing, and God made them, and they're so intricate and beautiful and wonderful. And you just have to look around at nature. Everything living has DNA. Everything living has DNA. And in DNA, in our cells, is like the hard drive of a computer. And it has all this information that will replicate cells and keep us going. And so if you look at the double helix of a DNA, it looks like an antenna, and it actually can pick up, waves of electricity coming at us and mess up that whole. They've even found can break the strands of DNA. Mm-hmm. And this is not just from going to get an X-ray at the doctor, but this is from lower level, like Wi-Fi, cell phones, things like that can break the DNA. And when that happens, well, it can cause diseases and horrible things. It messes with our immune system. And so I'm just going to tell you some of the things it can cause, because people need to know. Nervous system problems, fatigue, stress, panic attacks, which is very common. Sleep disturbances, again, a lot of those happening. Insomnia, headaches, heart issues. We talked about the heart. Skin issues, pains and aches, eyes, foggy thinking, depression, anxiety. They've even linked with suicide. Ear, nose, throat, digestive, infertility. That's a biggie right now, where many couples cannot have children. Damages to fetus. There's a rise in autism, leukemia, cancer, which you guys, are involved with. Cancer, because if the cells are not replicating correctly, they can start reproducing cancer, cells, and then that would keep going. And so, so this is really, like I said, it's scientific, it's for real, and it's a big deal now with all the electronic things going on.
And all of the conditions that were on that list, those are all conditions that you have read about in research that you base your business off of, that's been done around the globe. Am I correct on that?
Absolutely. Okay. Yeah, because I do not want to give out any false information. Now, here's one thing you have to take in consideration, though. Because when you Google, you can get both sides of anything, kind of,
Yes.
And I think you need to look at, like, where is the information coming from? So for us, we look at independent, peer-reviewed research. Mm. So they're not influenced by big money. No one's paying them off. It's not like, oh yeah, we hired our own scientists to come up with what we want. But it's independent scientists, and there are thousands of studies, awesome studies that are done and easy to find. Bioinitiative report, it's great. People can look that up. And these again are independent scientists, researchers, and not quacks. I mean, they're head of clinics and and PhDs, and they're very, very intelligent and highly respected people, and they are saying we've got to do something. We've got to do something. They actually in 2015, over 200 scientists and researchers, like we're talking, went to the World Health and United Nations and said, you must do something about this, and you have to set some standards, do something, help the world, save us, right? And but the dragging the feet, and political and all that is just so slow that people are not protected.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Which is where grassroots businesses or organizations like yours are so important, because it's starting instead of a top-down effect, which is going to be difficult to change within our governmental structure.
Yes.
We need to go to building from that foundation up, is starting with individuals and educating them, which then will begin to influence what happens in the tiers above them. So that being said, can you give me a little background on how you got started in this field and the business that you and your wife LaRae have created?
Sure. So actually, we have been ministers and pastors for many years, and now we're still involved, but we're more retired from that, or semi-retired. And so actually, we heard a sermon on dreams. So now, and again, I want to say I'm not a real spooky person, so in fact, I don't get many dreams, but I was kind of in between waking up and sleeping, and God put it into my heart. He really did, and I started to study about EMFs, researched it, and just the more I did, the more I got a passion and burden for it, and so I took training and just, well, you have to continually research it, because now, I mean, even 5G and everything, they keep coming up with new stuff. And but yeah, and then we started our business, and we're now on the top of Google for Twin Cities, and God has blessed us, and people are very, very thankful, very, very happy and grateful and thankful for what we do, because there's not a lot of us to do it, and there's like I said, a lot of disinformation. So and again, like we were saying, we were talking earlier before we started about how people are addicted to their technology, and they love it, and they don't necessarily want to hear that it's dangerous to them. But sometimes you need to hear what is the truth, because the truth can set you free. And I was reading a verse this morning from Proverbs, and it says, understanding is a fountain of life to those who have it. Isn't that powerful? So understanding is a fountain of life. And what you guys do is so awesome, and what I like with the holistic and everything is that you're looking at all different facets of a person's life, right? We're specialists. So we look at the EMF piece, which of course we consider is very important. But you look at the food and the diet and all that, nutrition and all that stuff, and that's important, because we're a whole person, a whole body. And so So at any rate, we got into it, and we're very excited and very passionate, because for us it's not just a business. It's like we want to help people, and that's neat. So.
Yeah.
We did an inspection on our pastor's house, and I went in his office, and I'm getting this really strong reading, and I'm thinking, the poor pastor, you're getting zapped, So we turned off everything in his office. I tested again, still getting zapped. So I thought, okay. So I went around the opposite wall in the other room, and here he's got his Wi-Fi router. So okay. I unplugged that. I come back around in his office, I test it again, He's still getting zapped. I go back around. It was Apple TV. Apple TV, and it wasn't even on. It was plugged in, but it was not on, and it was sending pulsing signals right through the wall and right into his lap, really, into him. So it wasn't good.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
If there was one thing that you could tell a new listener who's maybe just being introduced to EMFs or has heard some misinformation out there, and so this is really a new opportunity for them to begin to build their foundation of knowledge and understanding, is there anything that you would love to give them for a tidbit of wisdom or a piece of advice as they begin on this journey to understanding EMFs and how it plays a role in their life and in their health?
Yeah, well, it's a big subject. So, but
Yeah.
they, on our research page on our website, emfinspecting.com, we have a number of videos, and those are really good, and that would get people interested and give them some information. And we have one, and he was a lawyer. His name was Jimmy Gonzalez. He got cancer in 3 places, in his brain, in his hand, and by his hip, where he kept his cell phone, where he held his cell phone, and he's testifying before this committee that how dangerous it is. And he ended up dying. And I don't know if the committee did anything, but it's very, very powerful testimony. So yeah, so as far as what they can do, well, I guess what we say is, get an inspection, because what we do, we can find it, and we'll go to houses where people are into it, I mean, because if there's no awareness, they don't, contact us.
Right.
But they'll have some awareness, but we'll get people who are really into it. I mean, we shut off our Wi-Fi at night, and we do this and that and the other thing, but we will find issues in their house because here's why: it's invisible, odorless, tasteless. Most of us, there are people who have sensitivity, but many people don't, and so they don't even know.
That's great information, and I will definitely let people know about going to your website. It's good to have a website that you use as a teaching tool. So as we close this out today, I want to let anybody who's watching know that Jim and his wife LaRae's EMF inspecting website is www.emfinspecting.com. If you have questions, you can email them at help@emfinspecting.com, or you can call them directly at 651-230-9429.
Could I share one more thing?
Please do. I would love that.
Okay. So this is a quote, and this is from 5gspaceappeal.org.
Okay.
This is a website where a person can go and sign up for the 5G appeal, which is appealing to the nations and the United Nations and the world and the governments to do something about 5G, to stop the rollout and to research it and study it. Individuals or organizations can sign up here, and it's called the 5G Space Appeal. And the reason it's called that is because they want to put all these things in outer space too and zap us from there. So the globe is totally covered with EMFs and strong and everything. But anyway, here's the quote. It says, "The accumulated clinical evidence of sick and injured human beings, experimental evidence of damage to DNA, cells, organ systems in a wide variety of plants and animals, and evidence that the major diseases of modern civilization, cancer, heart disease, and diabetes, are in large part caused by electromagnetic pollution." That's EMF. It forms a literature base of well over 10,000 peer-reviewed studies. And if the telecommunications industry's plans for 5G come to fruition, no person, no animal, no bird, no insect, and no plant on Earth will be able to avoid exposure 24 hours a day, 365 days a year to levels of RF radiation that are tens to hundreds of times greater than what exists today already, without any possibility of escape anywhere on the planet. And then it says this: "These 5G plans threaten to provoke serious, irreversible effects on humans and permanent damage to all of Earth's ecosystems.
Wow, that's right.
Yeah, that is so powerful. And so that's why we do what we do, and that's why you do what you do. So thank you for having us.
My pleasure. Thank you so much, Jim.